Hey everyone, Giancarlo Veronini here. I'm joined by Mr. Shigeru Miyamoto, and we're here at E3 2010. We're here to talk about all things Nintendo. Mr. Miyamoto, first thing I'd like to talk about is the new Zelda game, Skyward Sword. And for this, when you're developing a new Zelda game, what's sort of the process that's involved? Obviously here, the Motion Plus controls are a big part of it, but do you have like a single idea that you focus on and then design a Zelda game around that? Or do you have multiple ideas that you kind of want to incorporate into the game?
When approaching any game, whether it be a Zelda game or a Mario game, there are several fun things that we want to accomplish. And it's kind of the culmination of those different features that this time yielded at the Zelda game. And with Skyward Sword, because we have the Wii Motion Plus, we can do things like incorporate that variety of items and switching between the variety of items more freely. And with Twilight Princess, we did use motion control to allow the player to swing their sword, but with this time it's even more natural and more seamless. So you can change your items on the fly while in battle, for example. That process has become even more natural and seamless.
It seems like you're able to do so much with a game like Zelda now. With your incorporating the Motion Plus controls, you're able to have a visual style that you want to have in the game. But do you at all feel like there are any sort of limitations to what you can do with Zelda, or that there are any limitations to gaming as a whole right now? I mean, are you able to accomplish everything that you want to accomplish with a game like Zelda?
When I started creating Donkey Kong, I had no idea that gaming would evolve as it has. I didn't imagine that there would be a Zelda and that it would look like this, and I didn't expect something like the DS either. As technology evolves, there are new things available to us, and as I create games, I'm creating games from within, if that makes sense. And I think there are so many possibilities with the Wii and as a game developer, so who knows what the future holds.
My next question is about the 3DS actually, and where did the idea for even attempting 3D without glasses come from? Because everybody out there is trying to do this with glasses.
As a game developer, every time we create something that requires additional peripherals, it really reduces the number of people who will eventually experience that game. So I always want to create something that is accessible to everyone. And it's actually been about 20 years since we've started down this path of making 3D games. And we did create some that did use glasses, but again, like I said, that only people who have the glasses can experience those 3D games. So it's been over 5 years since we've started creating a game, or 3D without glasses.
It seems like too that with the 3DS and the fact that it can communicate with other units when it's in sleep mode is a very important aspect of the machine. Are we seeing sort of a growing influence from sort of the idea of social networking, but from a gaming standpoint?
The idea of social networking and user-generated content is something very important to the user's experience, so it isn't something that we can ignore. However, we want to deliver something that is essentially Nintendo. And so my approach is kind of seeing what the interaction of real people and the internet, what that can do to the gaming experience. So our new take on the Bark mode is what we're exploring right now.
In your interviews with Mr. Iwata, you talk often about the old days of developing games at Nintendo. Is there anything that you miss about those old days, or things that you think have kind of gotten lost over the years that you think maybe game developers could go back to sort of reintegrating into their ideas and the way that they make games?
As development becomes more and more complicated, more and more people are involved, and as a group gets bigger, the leader of that group then has to move their energies into not creating games, but more managing the team and keeping them inspired. So you're right, I think there were some charming aspects to working with these smaller groups, but working with a bigger pool of people also has its advantages.
Is there anything that surprises you these days? I mean, even on a day-to-day basis when you go to work, is there I mean, are you continually just surprised by what's going on, or are there any just general things that are going on in gaming that where you kind of take a step back and think, wow, that's pretty neat?
So as I look at hardware and games and PCs and it's really interesting to me to see how the gaming world has really expanded with things like the iPad. That to me is so interesting to see how the audience has expanded because of access to different types of media. And in addition, you're seeing older folks connecting to the internet, which is something so exciting, just access.
So my final question is, at the Nintendo's press conference, we saw sort of the reintroduction of a lot of really popular franchises. It seems like Nintendo's really trying to please everyone, please its really dedicated fans, and please those who may have just bought a Wii and they're experiencing Nintendo games for the first time. Is that sort of the ideal? I mean, that's the ideal strategy going forward, is to kind of keep the fans happy with the older properties, and then keep the new fans happy as well with things like Wii Party and games like that.
So the development staff at Nintendo, they all love games, and they love the games that they're creating, and they want as many people to experience them as possible. So it's within that environment that we're all working.
So thank you so much for joining us. Stay tuned for GameSpot.com for more coverage of E3 2010.